the right way. You can't score 98 points with just one guy and dominating the ball. And so, again, I thought we played the right way on Saturday offensively, which makes you that much harder to guard. And if you've got a guy like Phil, you got a guy like Eric, Dylan had 6 assists. Nigel's had a tremendous statistical season for us to this point. We're getting Sam coming along. So I feel good about where we're at offensively. And as we've talked about, we just got to tighten some things up defensively, which I thought we did. And now we got to go take that on the road this weekend in Nashville.
How about Sam Thompson, Coach? I know everybody gets fascinated with the big guy, in any team. I mean, if you've got a big, presence in the middle, there's always a lot of fascination. Sam Thompson, 7 points, 6 boards in the game. He had a block shot, played 29 minutes. What are your thoughts on the progression of Sam Thompson, what he's doing down in the post? And he matched up with a guy that had him by an inch, and he's going to match up with a guy Thursday who is 6 feet 11 inches tall, the best big man in the league, Nick Mazinski.
Yeah, I've been extremely pleased with Sam. Coming back from, he really sat out about I think it was pretty close to a month before the Pepperdine game. And then
eight games.
And he comes in the Pepperdine game like he'd been practicing all season long, and he just had a tremendous game. I think he was 5 of 6 or 6 of 7 from the field, double-figure scoring, had 6 rebounds or so in that one as well. So to be able to play 29 minutes as a freshman, the thing that probably at that position that impressed me the most about Sam was the way that he played. He was in a stance. He was engaged. He was going and getting rebounds outside his area with 2 hands, which a lot of times young big men will I blocked out and the ball will come to me because that's what they're used to in high school because no one else is as big as them or they don't have to do as much to go get a ball. But you're going up against a 6'11". You're going up against KJ Williams, first-team All-League big guy, and Murray. He got a little bit of the baptism by fire on that first night, opening night. But I think it's going to help pay dividends for us on Thursday when he faces Muzinski, and because you have to play before he catches the ball against him as well. And so I think that it can kind of be a little bit of that passing of the guard. You got KJ Williams at Murray, you've got Muzinski at Belmont. We really think that Sam Thompson can be that kind of that next guy that's like those guys by the time that he gets to his senior year. We don't want to wait till his senior year, but I think he can have that progression to where everyone says, man, that kid is still there, and really put himself in some conversations that those guys are in as far as awards and their teams being up towards the upper half of the league, because it's hard to find big men that can do what he does with his hands, with his feet. He had 6 turnovers against Austin Peay. 2 of them were just catching the basketball, seeing it in, not assuming that you're just going to be able to catch it. And so at times he'll get his feet tangled up and twisted around, but to be able to have his size and the way that he moves and his skill set, he got the first 2 of the game on a little elbow free throw line jumper against Austin Peay. So he's got nice touch, he's got skill, he has smarts. He's just going to continue to get better. Really, I couldn't be more pleased with where he's at. Given everything that he's had to endure injury-wise and then just being thrown into the mix the way that he has been, he's held his own.
So DQ Nicholas returned to the lineup, Coach, and with DQ, it was interesting. You can't say, well, the injury came at a good time. It's never a good time for an injury. But in terms of actual games played, he injured the ankle on the 15th of December. And then the shoulder. Yeah. It was the ankle.
Shoulder guys
Sam
are sensitive to that.
Right.
Yeah.
So he injured the shoulder in the 15th of December at SIU.
Mm-hmm.
He plays 17 days later, but you only played 3 games in that span of 17 days before you played on the first. So in terms of when he suffered the injury, normally if you're out for 16 days, there are going to be more than 3 games played. But because it came finals week and the holiday, it was a good thing for DQ Nicholas because he missed minimal games, even though he missed over 2 weeks.
Yeah, and you look at a guy like DQ and even Manny, who has been injured since he's been here. Those guys that take care of themselves, you're able to respond quicker. Just from a rehab standpoint, strength standpoint, you're able to bounce back a lot quicker. I texted DQ yesterday. I just said I appreciated that he played. Yeah, at the beginning in the morning, Mr. Nathan, our trainer, was like, I don't think DQ is going to be able to go. And then we go through shoot around, and then DQ's like, Coach, I'm playing. I can't sit out anymore. I'm going to play. And if you go back and watch it, he still was favoring it a little bit. But DQ just does a lot of things for us that don't necessarily show up in the stat sheet either. I think he really alleviates a lot of pressure from Phil, from Eric as well, just because those guys don't have to do as much defensively. Not just those two guys. I only mention those two because those are the two that are normally out front more, guarding point guards and two guards and all that. But he just helps everyone else out defensively because he's a very smart defensive player. He knows the system. He knows what we're trying to do scouting report-wise. He can set the tone defensively by pressuring the ball, and that allows Phil to get off the ball, and he can kind of catch his wind, and you don't just have to have one guy out there at the whole time for 35-plus minutes. You can move those guys around. Offensively is the same thing. It doesn't have to just be in Phil's hands all the time. Phil can get off the ball. DQ can create. I just think I'm very pleased with the way that he is playing with such a great pace offensively. A year ago he had a lot of turnovers, and I think that a lot of it was depth, new coach, all that stuff that you want to say, but he is playing with such a good pace and a good calmness about him now compared to last year, much like Nigel, I believe, this year as well. He's in a very good place, and he's a very integral part of what we're trying to do. And the thing about it is, like, him and Phil play really, really well together. He is a little bit littler, even though he wouldn't tell you he is, but he rebounds at his position, which is a huge thing as well.
Two things about DQ Nicholas. First of all, is he as good a defender as you have on the roster? And secondly, when you were saying, hey, we want guys who are going to buy in on the defensive end, there's never a question about DQ Nicholas in my mind about buying in on the defensive end, and he certainly would have helped you against Murray State. Is he as good a defender as you have, and is he a guy that you don't have to worry about whether he's going to buy in on that side of the basketball?
Yeah, not at all. Not at all. Him, Eric Reed, Nigel is a very good, understands exactly what we're doing in scouting reports. Dylan Branson is a very good system, understands scouting reports and what we're trying to do defensively. So those four guys really are really understand defensively. Now it's just adding the communication part of it. Sometimes you get lost or we mix up on things, and mistakes happen, but if they're self-inflicted mistakes where we do something and no one else knows what we're doing, that's where we really get ourselves in trouble. And I think those four guys really understand defensively, can really set the tone. The other beautiful thing about America is all four of them can guard any position at any time. So it gives us options as coaches as to we can switch everything. We don't have to switch everything, and you really don't lose one thing to the next. So if DQ and Nigel end up switching on a ball screen, for instance, it's a bigger guy. Well, DQ is going to fight in front and make it hard for those guys to get the ball into the post, and Nigel and Dylan can stay in front of point guards because they are basically guards, but they're strong and they understand the defensive concepts that we're trying to do. So it really opens up more options for you defensively too when you have guys like that. But DQ is definitely a guy that I think I said after the game, if we called to practice at 2 a.m, it doesn't matter. He's going to be there ready to defend. That's kind of his mindset and how he plays, and I just appreciate him playing, quite honestly, because I don't know if a lot of guys would have played.
It's his left shoulder, not his shooting shoulder, right?
Correct.
Okay. How much does that change things? Because, he shot the ball well, went to the free throw line 9 times, went 9 of 10, and is now the number 1 free throw shooter in the Ohio Valley Conference for the second best free throw shooting team in the conference.
Yeah, it affected him at times. I think it's one of those things too. When you get in the heat of a game, he shot 2 left-handed layups. I don't think that he made either one of them, and he got fouled on a couple going right. So obviously it affected him, and sometimes too when you can't shoot it with your left, but that's your only play. Obviously, if you've got a chance to get on and shoot it on your inside hand, he wasn't presented with any of those opportunities, so he had to use his left. He got fouled on one, if I'm not mistaken, and he really missed the other one that I think if he didn't have the hurt shoulder, he would have made, just because it was that much of an easy play for him. So I think it affected him a little bit. Again, when he was running, you could see him kind of holding it tight from time to time, especially coming off screens towards the middle of the floor when you're on the left side, trying to not get hit by screens. But again, once you get going and the adrenaline starts flowing. But he said he was fine yesterday, and I didn't get any bad updates today. So I think he's just he'll get there stronger and stronger and stronger day by day, and hopefully he stays healthy because we need him.
That was my question. When adrenaline's going, you don't know how a particular injury may have responded, but the next day is when and things are barking, and you're saying that you got a good, clean report with how he felt the next day.
Yeah, he's good. He should be good to go today, and he'll be ready to compete. He's a competitor. He's always going to compete. He's always going to play hard. I'm really pleased with where he's at personality-wise. He's kind of a reserved, quiet type of a kid, but now he's really kind of come out of his shell, and I love the personality that he's bringing to our team.
And especially a guy who, first of all, is a bit of a leader. I mean, let's face it, he's got a lot of Division I experience. He's going to play in his 70th career Division I game on Thursday when you go to Belmont. And a guy who, at times, is going to run the point. You need that guy to be able to verbally communicate.
Yeah, the thing I think about too, when you think about him and Nigel and Dylan and Eric, and just trying to develop leadership within your team, I always go back and think about The Last Dance and Michael Jordan, that clip when he's running lines and he says, "I never asked anybody to do something I wasn't willing to do." And to me, those four guys really exemplify that, because they're the ones that finish the lines first. They attack every practice, and so when they say something, it's not just to say it or because I saw something 2 years ago. It's because I'm actually doing it and I want it for the betterment of the team. So I've really seen DQ kind of grow into that a little bit too this year, being a little bit more vocal, and especially since we came back from practice of trying to get guys, hey, come on guys, this. And we need that, because it can't always be coming from me. If it always is coming from me, then it's just going to fall on deaf ears at some point. It's got to be a player-driven program. If you're really going to make the strides and the progress that you want, it's got to be player-driven.
Now, I don't know if there are many other teams, if any other team in the OVC that starts three freshmen, but you're starting three freshmen in Thompson, Dylan Branson, and Philip Russell. How tough is it now? Branson and Russell, these are second-year freshmen, but still, they are freshmen. How tough is it for a freshman to be a leader on a Division I team?
I think as freshmen, you're kind of you always just sit back a little bit, and it's like, well, there's older guys here, so let them lead, and that's typically how it goes. But it's that old saying too, Eric, when no one's leading, that's the time to lead, and so it doesn't
seem
matter.
like Philip Russell sits back very often.
No, well, he sits back, but his mouth doesn't stop moving, so there's a difference there. But and again, that's what you always hear coaches talk about. No matter who they are, you look at Tom Brady and Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and every year is different. Every team is different, and you always hear coaches talk about process, and you got to go through things at certain points, no matter who's on your roster, because there's always dynamics, especially when you're dealing with 18 to 22-year-olds. There's a whole lot of factors that can go into everything. So if we just came in and thought that it's just going to be about basketball and, it's just easy to lead because we're just here for practice for 2.5 hours, that's just not how life goes. These guys go through things off the court just like you and I do. And so it's being able to navigate all of that and find the right combinations throughout a season, navigating injuries. So there's a whole lot of things that go into it from time to time and year to year. But when you've got a group of guys or a core group of guys like that that are about the right things and really want to do what's right and do what's best for the team, the real and the true leaders will emerge.
I know it's one thing to do it in practice, but did you think that Philip Russell was this good of a shooter? I mean, he is fifth in the OVC in three-point percentage, and for a while he was top 3. But to do it in practice and to do it in a game, those are different things. Did you think that he was going to be a top 5 shooter in the entire league?
He could shoot the basketball, and we've talked about it before. Even DQ is not necessarily your traditional true point guard. I don't think Phil is necessarily like your true typical point guard either. He can really pass, understands basketball, but he can play off the ball. And that's probably one of the things that we thought or saw about him early. I've known about Phil for a long time before he ever came here. And he could do that even in high school. He could get off the ball and make shots. Probably the most beautiful thing about Phil is that you don't have to run a lot of plays for him because he can make plays with the ball in his hands. And so we live with a couple. I let him get away with probably about 2 bad shots a game. But again, I think that's part of his game. Those are good shots for him. And the transition 3 that he shot, those are good shots for him because he can make plays with the ball in his hands and without. And late in that game against Austin Peay, DQ had it, and we were running Phil off of screens. And so again, it just adds another element to you. But Phil has a good technique. He has good mechanics on his shot, and he scored a lot of points off the ball in other ways, and in high school and AAU and all that type of stuff. So he doesn't necessarily always have to have the basketball.
And guys that play at small schools, not always, but a lot of times, guys that play at small schools, when they get into a big environment, it's a new thing for them. I mean, so how they transition into that. That's not a new thing for Philip Russell, man. I mean, Vashon is a big-time program, and they play a lot of other big-time programs. So he's played against a lot of high-level competition that maybe guys from smaller schools have never experienced.
Yeah, I didn't play AAU basketball myself coming out of high school, so I didn't really necessarily – I didn't even know who Kent Williams was when I went to SIU, and he was – obviously a great player. I think he was second that year in Mr. Basketball voting in the state of Illinois, but I just didn't play AAU. So these guys now all play AAU, so the world has just gotten so much smaller. They know who everybody is before we can even tell them because of AAU. But, you know, all these guys have played on major AAU circuit teams and programs, and so they've seen a lot of these same guys. And, you know, I think for Phil, too, being at St. Louis U and a guy like Yuri Collins, who's their starting point guard, leading the top 5, I think he is, in assists in the country.
He had a big game the other day.
Yeah, I think he's had a game where he's had 13 assists in a game. And so you get to play with a guy like that every single day in practice, who's also from St. Louis, and St. Louis kids want to help and take care of St. Louis people. That's kind of the basketball community there. So, you know, you had a guy like him that he could be with every single day in practice. You learn things like that, and you pick up on things, and I think that's helped him as well.
How did you reestablish a relationship with Philip Russell? Because he committed to coming here. Then there was a coaching change, changed his commitment, went to St. Louis, played in 8 games as a walk-on, didn't see a whole lot of playing time. I mean, they've got a really good roster at St. Louis University. And then all of a sudden he comes back to SEMO. You don't see that happen very often, where a guy commits, goes somewhere else, and then actually comes back to a school that he once committed to. How did that all come about with Philip?
He just obviously didn't get to play as much as he wanted to, and we now – maybe everyone else now has seen Phil and kind of how he is. Sitting on the bench isn't something that he can take very well. And so he wanted an opportunity to where he knew he could come and make an impact and play and be a part of a team the way that he wanted to, not necessarily just be another guy type of a thing. And so when he decided to transfer, I've known his high school coach from years past, and obviously Coach Pick being here from the year before and some other people around. And his sister goes to school here. So I think just all of that factored in. He's like, you know, obviously when you choose a school at the out of high school, that's a big decision. And you choose a school, for the program. You don't necessarily always choose it for other factors that maybe you can't control. And so I think when that opportunity came up again, and you know, you see a need for it in the roster, it was a pretty easy decision for him, and he didn't want to go through the song and dance of another recruiting process type of a thing. And you know, give the previous staff credit for doing that and making SEMO a place that he wanted to be at initially. And then so that made that decision that much easier for him the second time around.
So did you go through Coach Irons? I mean, did one of your assistant coaches, did he reach out? Did you? I mean, how does that go?
They jump into the portal, and then obviously once they hit the portal, you're good to go, and obviously you keep. It was a quick process. It wasn't a very long process. Again, like I said, at that point, he knew what he had wanted. He knew what he was going to do. And so it was just more of a matter of, like, does this check out with you all and what you're thinking and what your vision and what you're trying to do with your program? And then once it was like, yeah, that's exactly what we need. That's what we're looking for. That's what we want. It was probably one of the fastest, easiest recruitment. No, I shouldn't say easiest, but one of the quickest recruitments that I've been a part of. But again, that was the first dealing with the portal as well.
And kind of a unique situation in that he already knew the community. He already knew the facilities here. He already knew a whole lot about it, whereas somebody who's not familiar with SEMO, it's a way different process, right?
Yeah, and again, and that's what I said before, you got to give the previous staff credit because he was coming here before that anyway. So when the coaching changes happen, obviously guys want to open up options and see what's out there, and that totally makes sense. And then, you know, SLU comes calling and provides a little bit of opportunity that you think is going to be there, and you take that. But again, give the previous staff credit for that, because obviously when it came time, he didn't have to come back down here for a visit. There was none of that, you know. And I think it helped too, knowing his sister was going to be here, you know, family and being an hour and 45 minutes away from home. Mom, dad get to come to games, sister, all that type of stuff. It plays a part, and to be able to play and have success.
Did it factor in, because it's rare? I mean, when there are coaching changes, usually no assistant coaches are holdovers to the new staff. That happens in football. Football coaches usually keep one guy, you know, whether it's a director of football operations, whatever. Yeah. Football almost always keeps at least one guy. Basketball, not so much, but you did keep Coach Pickens, so there was a point of contact there, right, with Coach Pickens.
Yeah, there was, and I think Coach McGee may have had a lot to do with Phil's recruitment the first time around. But again, you look at like Coach Pick and Coach Ladon, our ops guys, just being from St. Louis. Everybody knows everybody in the basketball community, and so that it's and then people. My time at SIU with Coach Lowry, Chris Lowry, who we spent a lot of time in St. Louis. So it's like really you can call anybody. People can call Coach Pick, can call this guy, call Coach Ladon. They can call Coach Lowry. What about this guy? What about Brad Korn? What about Keith Pickens? Are these the guys that we keep hearing that they are? And so when you have more people around throughout the years, that's the thing we talk about our guys all the time is like character, reputation, all that stuff comes back. And so now, hey, is this Brad Korn guy who you guys all say he is now Keith Pickens is from St. Louis. Did he burn bridges a long time ago? No. And so now there's all that trust that's built in over years and years before. And so now when it comes time for a Philip Russell situation or say, I'm not taking any visits, do all these boxes check of what I think and what I'm told? And when the answer to those is yes, then you end up with a player like Phil. And obviously we're happy to have him.
All right, we're going to talk with Nigel Russell here momentarily. When we play at Belmont on Thursday, you will have the best 2 rebounding guards in the Ohio Valley Conference. Grayson Murphy 2 years ago led the nation in rebounding for point guards. Right now, Murphy comes into play in this game. He's 9th in the league in rebounding. Russell is 6th. You've got 2 freakish rebounding guards because guys that are guards usually are not averaging almost 7 rebounds per game like Nigel Russell is.
Yeah, and he's made it a point. He rebounded well for us last year, but he's taken it to another level this year. And we have to have it because, again, we play somewhat smaller. Obviously, him and Dylan aren't big guys. We play 4 guards and a center, so someone's got to come back and rebound. And Nigel's done a tremendous job of it this year, of just really making it a point every single time to crash. We know that if we get the rebound, we can push and transition. He gets a rebound, I don't make him stop and give it to somebody else, and then he can run the floor. He can push the basketball himself. Dylan can get a rebound and push it himself. I think that's what makes us even that much harder to guard. And so we have to have that. We have to have a level of toughness like I talked about before. We can switch 1 through 4 with Nigel and not lose anything. But again, I've been really pleased with Nigel, just from the standpoint of he is at such a peace with his game right now, and the way that he approaches it. He has stayed after every single practice. And a lot of coaches say these things in shows like this, but he literally has stayed after every single practice since June. And his shot. And I told the team 2 weeks ago or a week ago, it's no surprise to me that he's having his best statistical season of his career, because when you put in the type of work that he has put in since June, not just after one bad game, but since June over and over and over and over and over again, it's going to pay dividends for you. And so not only is he rebounding the ball well for us, he's having a great statistical year for us across the board.
We're going to talk with Nigel Russell. He will join us when we come back. It's the Red Hawks Coaches Show. We're at Wings Etc. in Jackson on SEMO ESPN. Be back over in the Cape Girardeau location next week. Did you know that at Wings Etc., they're open 7 days a week? They are open late on the weekends because the games oftentimes runs late. We've got plenty of college football still to play. Of course, the national championship game next Monday. Plenty of NFL action. We're coming up on the final week of the regular season. This is your headquarters for college and pro football right here at Wings Etc. The Blues are back in action. They will be on the road on Wednesday. They just had the big Winter Classic, and you can watch Blues hockey right here at Wings Etc. If you're coming for lunch, make sure you check out the daily half-pound lunch special starting at just $7.99, and check out their revamped burger menu. When you think of a wings joint, you probably don't think of burgers, but you should when you think about Wings Etc. And if you'd like to get it delivered right to your front door, the newest feature, download the DoorDash app. Set up your account. Just takes a couple of minutes, and you can have delicious Wings Etc. food delivered right to where you are. Let's welcome in Nigel Russell to the program. Nigel, how are you? I saw you were enjoying some of that nice wings food a few minutes ago.
Yep, I'm doing well.
All right, what did you have?
Crispy chicken wrap.
Crispy chicken wrap. And what did you have on the wrap?
Chicken, bacon, lettuce, honey mustard.
Honey mustard.
Yep.
Okay, so you go with the honey mustard. Do you ever try the grilled chicken?
I have, but typically when I go, I get the barbecue wings. That's my favorite.
I got you.
I stick with the traditional.
I understand. All right. I thought it was interesting. For those who don't know, we talked about it on the radio broadcast, but you went out on this California trip, and it started at Pepperdine, ended up going to Missouri Baptist. You have a tie to Pepperdine University, and it's not the first time you have been out there. Your brother Atif played 4 years at Pepperdine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's big time. I've been going out there since he first went to college. I always kind of say he's like my blueprint. Every time he leaves a situation, I kind of go in. So when he left college, I went into college. So Pepperdine's been a place that I've known about for a while, and I would always go and visit him and work out there with him in that gym. So it was kind of funny to finally be able to play against Pepperdine in that gym and tried to get the bragging rights, but we ended up losing that one, sadly. But no, it was definitely a good experience.
Was he at the game?
Yeah, he was at the game. A lot of my family was.
Was he wearing a Pepperdine shirt?
He was in SEMO gear.
All right. I like to hear that. Now, that's in Malibu, California. For anybody that hadn't been to Malibu, tell us a little bit about that. That is one beautiful city.
For sure. The city doesn't even feel real. It's like a different area. The beach is 5 minutes away. You can walk right down. They have a lot of shops and stuff down there. You walk out of your dorm room and at Pepperdine and you see the campus. It looks like a fantasy, so it's crazy.
Boy, and I bet your brother lets you know how expensive it probably is to live in Malibu,
sure.
Right?
For sure. He's always talking about it because he still lives out there in L.A., a little bit like 20 minutes away from Malibu, so he's still in that area and he loves it.
Yeah, you can't get a chicken wrap for $8.99 in Malibu.
Not at all.
not gonna happen. What I think is so interesting, and I brought it up before. Grayson Murphy, a really good rebounding guard, not as good as you are. Why are you such a good rebounder? Were you this good of a rebounder in high school?
Yeah, I think so. I've always kind of had a knack for just wanting to do the dirty work as well, because I haven't always been in a situation to where I'm the one with the ball in my hands all the time. And something that I felt that I was good at just from a young age is just going to get a rebound. Like, I don't have to sit around and wait. If I have the ability and I have the strength and the jumping to go get it, I'm going to go try and get a rebound and make an impact any way I can, even if it's not necessarily with the ball in my hands from dribbling.
So you got these big guys on the roster. Manny Patterson's a big dude. So is Nate Johnson. So is Sam Thompson. I mean, you got some big, bruising guys. Is it bragging rights? Do you have to remind them who the leading rebounder on the team is?
A little bit. I do sometimes. But to a certain extent, what you don't realize with those guys is when they're hitting people and they're getting people out of the lane, it makes it a lot easier for me to come get the rebound. So they don't necessarily get the stats, but they're doing a lot of the work getting people out the way so that I can come get a rebound. And so it's a little bit of talking mess and also just kind of appreciating them, because I talk to Manny all the time. Anytime somebody's down there with you, they're getting hurt. So I just go get the rebound when you box out.
Boy, he's like a bull in a china shop, isn't he?
I live with him. I know.
Now they don't keep this stat, but if they kept the stat fouls per minutes played, Manny may be at the top of the list in the Ohio Valley Conference. He does nothing very softly except shoot free throws. He's a pretty good free throw shooter.
Yep, for sure. I mean, Manny, he's a guy who takes the weight room very seriously. And when he's on the court, he's going to let you know that he's there. And then the same with the free throws. Like I said, I live with him. So I'll wake up sometimes, and it's 9 a.m., and he's walked in the house like, where'd you come from? He's like, I was at the gym real quick. And it's always like that, whether it's 9 a.m. or 9 at night. He's always going back to the gym. So it may not always show up stats-wise, but he puts in more work than probably anybody I've seen on the team. I mean, Eric is pretty close, but Manny's always at the gym. I mean, always. So that's a testament to him, especially when it comes to knocking down free throws.
So we had a women's game a few weeks back, and the men did not play. And after the women's game was over, here comes Manny. He's going out to the Show Me Center. He's getting up shots. And did I see him with a boom box? I mean, he'd got his music. Does he carry a boom box with him to go shoot baskets?
I don't know what it was, but he always has music with him too. So that probably makes sense.
Now, you're living with him, so you have to hear the music. Does he have a good music selection, or is it thumbs down as far as you're concerned?
It's good. I mean, I live with him, so we also listen to a lot of music. So, I mean, we like a lot of the same stuff. So I can't really complain about that aspect. And he's really respectful when it comes to it, because if I'm trying to sleep or something, like, he'll turn it down. But I like his music taste.
All right. So this new name, image, likeness thing in college sports, that's a big topic. Mm-hmm. And you are actually affiliated with Wings, etc., with name, image, and likeness. What kind of things do you do? Because I know you do a lot of stuff on social media, and we want to make sure people can follow you on social media to kind of see what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, for sure. So I've known about Wings, etc. for a long time since I first came here. I think my freshman year, I may have had it one time. And just over the years, I've just had it a couple more times. And I was talking with one of my mentors. His name's Justin Popes. And when this name, image, and likeness deal first came about, he brought up the idea you should really talk to Joe and see if he maybe be interested in Wings, etc. And I was like, I don't really think he would be, but I mean, I'll try it out because I love this restaurant. I was coming here all the time before the name, image, and likeness deal. So when the opportunity presented itself and we actually talked and I got a chance to work some things out, and now I get to promote a restaurant that I love going to as well as eating here all the time. Like, it's a win-win situation for me, so I definitely can't complain. I'm just blessed to have the opportunity.
All right, so how do we follow you on social media?
So all of my social media handles are Nigel25.
Now, for those who don't know, it's NYGAL, so it's Nigel25.
Yep.
And that's it. That's pretty simple.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's probably that simple because most Nigels don't spell their name the same way that you do, right?
Yeah, it's pretty easy to get that handle.
And 25, has that always been your number? Did you just choose it when you came to SEMO? Because sometimes you may have had a number that you prefer and you get to a program and somebody else got the number.
Mm-hmm. Actually, that was the case. So I've loved the number 25 ever since when I first started kind of finding my love for the game of basketball. My favorite player was Derrick Rose. And when he played at Simeon in Chicago, he had number 25. And so ever since I saw him wear that number, I've always just loved number 25. So I think it was around 6th grade when I first started wearing it consistently. And anytime I got the opportunity, I wore that number. My freshman year, a teammate I had already was wearing 25, so I didn't get to wear it. I was 11 freshman year. And then my sophomore year, I got to switch back to it. So anytime I get a chance to wear it, that number is really special to me.
So you're from Katy, Texas. And for those who don't know, that's basically Houston, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a lot of people may not know when they think of Texas, maybe they think of Dallas over Houston, but Houston is bigger than Dallas. I think Houston may be the 4th largest city in the United States. What was it like growing up in a big city like that?
I loved it. I mean, it has its pros and its cons. Being in Katy, it's like a suburb 15 minutes away, so you get to be in the big city, but you don't always have to be surrounded by it. In terms of basketball, it definitely helped, I think, in my progression as a player, just because I went to high school with 3,000 students. It's Division I talent all over. So I'm playing with and against guys that are really good all the time, to where it could be the 2nd or 3rd best guy on the team, and he's still getting a chance to go to Division I. So being in an environment where it's so much competition always and trying to find a way out, like, it helps you learn to really work hard and find your way to get to where you can still be recognized and, live your dream. So I definitely like growing up in Houston. I feel like it's instilled a lot of qualities in me. Definitely feel like that's a place I learned how to work hard. So I have a lot of appreciation for that city.
Nigel Russell, our guest, the native of Katy, Texas. I know that De'Aaron Fox is from Katy. He went to Kentucky, plays for the Sacramento Kings. Did you ever play against DeAndre Fox?
I did. Actually, we're pretty good friends. We played on the same AE team in 8th grade for a couple games, and then in a lot of the same programs with the Houston Defenders and Houston Hoops. So we've known each other for a long time, probably since we were around 12 or 13. And we've hung out a lot of times later, and he's doing really good. Actually, one of our mutual best friends, they live together, and he was supposed to come out and visit me and one of my other friends that he also knew. So, like I said, the Houston basketball community it's big, but it's small. A lot of people, you know each other. So, and he's also a great guy. Whenever he comes back to the city, he's always giving back, and he's like a big kid. Even though he's in the NBA now, like he's still a really down-to-earth, cool person just to hang around.
I said De'Aaron Fox. I was looking up notable people from Katy, Texas. Now, you're in the state of Texas. Are you a country music fan at all? Clint Black, I know, is from Katy, Texas. He's a pretty big country star.
I'm not sure about him. I like some country music.
Okay.
I have a little playlist. I keep it hidden. So if
it's hard to go somewhere in Houston, though. It's hard to go somewhere in Houston and not hear some country music, though, right?
I don't know. Houston's really diverse.
Okay.
So I mean, if you're in the environment, you'll hear country, but you could be places where you don't hear country at all. So it really just depends on where you want to go. You can go downtown, and depending on the spot or the environment you're in, you could hear whatever.
Gotcha.
And that's something you love about the city.
Renelle Zellweger, who is Academy Award-winning actress, she is from Katy, Texas. And then a guy who was the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, Andy Dalton, is from Katy, Texas. You probably already knew all of this. Now, are you a Houston Texans football fan? Are you a Dallas Cowboy fan? Do you follow the NFL?
So I'm originally from Baltimore, so my football team is the Ravens. I always like the Ravens, so I can't claim the Texans.
I wouldn't claim them right now anyway. They're not very good.
Definitely.
Now, you do know, though, being a Ravens fan, that Joe Hobbs is a huge New England Patriots fan. I know you got the NIL deal here, but he is a Pats fan.
Yeah, that's a divide.
All right, so as you guys get ready to head to Belmont, you have momentum here. You guys really played well on Saturday night, and I know you probably were thinking, hey, this is how we can play when we are really focused and everything is clicking. You guys looked pretty good the other night.
For sure. Just kind of going Thursday in Belmont, I kind of want to stress to our team to continue staying in gap help. Like when your man beats you for a second and you have a teammate that's right there for you to help you out, so it doesn't necessarily just look bad on you, and then that carries over. Just being in gaps, helping out your brother on defense, it really helps a lot in terms of the feel of the game, and it transitions to our offense as well. And I genuinely believe we had such a good offensive game just because on defense we were on the same page, so it made it a little bit easier for us. So between us understanding that we have to be on the same page on defense, moving as one unit, whatever five is on the floor, and at the same time just making sure our guys know, keeping Eric Reed confident, encouraging him on every shot, keeping Phil confident, and knowing he's going to talk messing on, I don't care what you say, I got your back. So whenever we have the guys on the floor, whatever you bring to the table, knowing, be confident in that, and we got your back. And so as long as we are on the same page, I feel like we'll have a good shot to beat anybody.
And last year, I think it was a 3-point game with about 3 minutes to go at Belmont. Now, they hit some free throws late. They're a really good free throw shooting team among the other things that they do well. But you guys were right there with Belmont last year. In your mind, are you going in there saying no reason we can't do the same thing?
Yeah. I feel like when we're playing good, I have SEMO over anybody. When we're playing really well, I feel like we have enough talent to beat any team. And whether it's Belmont or whoever, it all just comes down to making sure that we're all on the same page and all playing our hardest, playing together. If we're doing that, I'm confident in whatever outcome happens because we have the guys, that's for sure.
Now, you had a play on Saturday where you're going in for a dunk, and it looked like you got your feet cut. It looked like you got your steps a little messed up. You didn't finish the dunk, but the good news is A few minutes later, you had another opportunity, and man, did you hammer that one down. And it seemed like maybe you took out a little frustration from the previous dunk. First of all, is that true? And because you won the game, does that give your teammates a little more liberty to give you the business about not making the first dunk?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely, that was embarrassing. I saw the open lane. I don't know what happened, but I just wanted to
It seemed like
make up
footwork.
for
It looked like you were almost there, and the feet work weren't there, and then all of a sudden, bomb.
Who knows? It was embarrassing, but just tried to get it back. And yeah, they were all joking with me. And even Phil, as soon as it happened, he was already just making jokes about it. And that's the good thing about our team is when we are winning and we're doing good and we're on the same page, knowing that they could make jokes and just we can get back to right playing hard and not somebody take it too personal or whatever. So I'm just glad that we do have that environment where we can crack jokes and continue to be positive about even things that do happen that may be bad at the time.
How about how much you've worked on your game? Because, boy, your game, you've taken it to another level this year. Now, you've always been a good rebounder, but as far as contributing, handing out the basketball, playing defense, hitting shots, I think you hit 7 3-pointers last year and 2 of them in the final minute to beat Kansas City last year in the opener. You've already doubled that this year. I mean, you seem like you're shooting the ball and playing with more confidence than you had last year.
Yeah, for sure. Just kind of a big thing is this is my 4th year with SEMO, so I don't want to stay the same the whole time. And kind of what Coach Corn was saying earlier about peace is I made a commitment to myself this summer. I read a book called The 4 Agreements and it said be impeccable with your word. And I took from that book that I'm going to shoot shots every single day after practice, no matter how I feel, no matter what happens. And to try and contribute that and just say, with this being my 4th year of college basketball, I'm going to give it everything I can. And regardless of the outcome, I'm going to be at peace with it. Because being a Division I basketball player, when this has been your whole focus, your whole life, it's easy to be sad and let basketball control your entire emotions throughout the rest of your life. And so with this year, me wanting to be at peace, I'm going to say I'm going to do everything I can in my power to contribute as much as I can to my team. And whatever the outcome is, I'm going to have peace with it. And so I feel like that's the mindset I've tried to take. And I do feel like it's helped. And if I could tell myself that same lesson 3 years before, to just stay after every day and just keep working on just a little bit every day, just 1% every day, and not try and go make up and shoot 500 this day because you missed 2 days, and 1% every day. If I could have told myself that 3 years earlier, I really think that it would have had a huge impact on me. But it's what I know now, and I just got to continue to do it to help better the team as much as I can. So
my biggest philosophy in professional life, and it sounds like you're saying almost the same thing, failing to prepare is preparing to fail. And it sounds like you're really preparing.
Yeah, just doing my best. I've been here a while, and I've seen the culture of the programs change in all the different sports. And, this being my 4th year, I really want to win a championship. Like, more than anything, more than averaging 20, more than getting awards. Like, I'd rather just get a ring. And so every team in the school has done it, and I just want it to be basketball's turn. So I just want to prepare as best I can, whether that's talking to other guys, whether that's watching film, whether that's getting up my own shots. Whatever I can do, I feel like the most important thing this year is just that we get a ring, and that's what I want to focus on.
All right, Nigel, it has been a pleasure. Again, let us know where we can find you on social media, and we certainly want to find out much more about what you're doing with social media.
Got you, yep. All my social media platforms are Nigel25. You can go search me up. I should be the name that pops up, so, yep.
All right, and that's NYGAL, Nigel25. We will see you in Music City on Thursday. Thanks so much for the time. We appreciate it, Nigel.
Thanks for having me.
All right, Nigel Russell. That's going to do it here for the Red Hawks Coaches Show. We'll get you back into ESPN Radio. Don't forget the Red Hawks with a doubleheader at Belmont University on Thursday. The Red Hawks will be at Tennessee State on Saturday. Hope you enjoy the rest of your Monday, everybody. So long from Wings, etc.